All right, welcome back to The Explainer, everyone. I am so stoked you're tuning in today because we're breaking down a genuinely delightful piece of storytelling. We're looking at a narrative called The Celestial Journey of the Flying Lighthouse. Now, on the surface, you might look at this and think it's just a simple tale, right? But as we're going to see, it is an absolute masterclass in classic narrative mechanics and magical world building. We're going to literally unpack how this story constructs its magic, builds a really solid emotional core, and delivers a timeless message. Let's get right into it. Okay, let's kick things off with this central question. What happens when a lighthouse actually takes to the sky? This single question is the absolute perfect hook. We meet Ethan, a brave kid living in the totally ordinary seaside town of Star Harbor. He spends his time on the beach, dreaming of faraway lands, watching normal ships sail by a normal old lighthouse. But the story doesn't let him just chill there. It uses this totally impossible premise, a flying lighthouse, to instantly grab us and kickstart our protagonist's classic hero's journey. Section 1. The Magical Call. Now, as any storytelling nerd knows, every great adventure has to start by totally disrupting the ordinary world. And we see that play out sequentially right here. We start in the evening with Ethan firmly grounded in his normal life, just watching ships in the harbor. But then things start to shift. Night falls, and we get this dazzling meteor shower. It's a cosmic event signaling, hey, something extraordinary is on the horizon. And this builds perfectly to the midnight climax, where the old lighthouse suddenly glows with this bright golden light, slowly lifts right off the ground and just floats into the sky. The pacing here is just spot on, It steadily escalates from a boring evening to purely magical midnight liftoff. And just as Ethan is, gasping in disbelief, boom, a friendly guide appears. Meet Captain Feather, a seagull wearing tiny pilot goggles. I love it. In strict narrative terms, Captain Feather is acting as our classic supernatural aide. He swoops in to formally issue the call to adventure, straight up telling Ethan, the flying lighthouse needs your help. It's this specific, magical intervention that causes a golden staircase to literally appear out of nowhere, inviting Ethan to physically step into the adventure. So, what's the big deal, right? We have to understand the stakes. And the story contrasts them perfectly for us right here. With the magical crystal's power, these beautiful sky islands can thrive. But without it, the flying lighthouse is going to crash, and those magical islands will disappear forever. No pressure, right? The stakes are immediately massive, which gives Ethan's quest intense urgency and a crystal-clear purpose. Section 2, Journey to Cloud Islands. So, leaving Star Harbor in the dust and crossing the threshold into this totally unknown, magical world, Captain Feather hands Ethan a glowing compass pointing straight toward the lost magic. And as they follow it, it's like they're assembling a classic adventure party. We've got our pilot seagull, Captain Feather, but pretty soon they're joined by Spark, who is an incredibly cheerful baby griffin, and Puffy, a literal tiny cloud puppy. Expanding the party like this is such a clever storytelling tool. It builds momentum, it adds fresh dynamics to the journey, and most importantly, it subtly plants the theme of togetherness that is going to be absolutely crucial later on. And let's just take a quick second to appreciate the world building here as the compass leads our crew across the sky to the Cloud Islands. Just picture this: floating gardens, rainbow waterfalls, and literal flying fish filling the air. The author is deliberately throwing all this absolute visual wonder at us. It completely immerses us and Ethan in the sheer beauty of these sky islands, serving as a constant, vivid reminder of exactly what's at risk of disappearing if they screw this up. Section 3. The Lonely Guardian. Okay, so the compass leads our crew through Crystal Canyon and deep down into the Cave of Echoing Stars, classic entering the cave phase. Inside, we hit a massive emotional twist. They finally find the missing sky crystal, but they don't find a terrifying monster. They don't find an evil thief. They find a girl named Mia. And as she explains, she didn't steal this crystal out of malice. It literally just fell, and she kept it because, honestly, she was profoundly lonely and just wanted a friend to share adventures with. This completely pulls the rug out from under us. It shifts the pacing, the tone. The antagonist isn't some big, bad evil. She's just incredibly isolated. And this is where Ethan really shines as a protagonist. How does he react to Mia's confession? He doesn't yell or demand the crystal back. He just smiles warmly and says, "You don't have to be alone anymore." And right behind him, Captain Feather, Spark, and Puffy are all nodding, basically saying, yeah, we're your friends now too. It's just a beautiful realization. It proves to the audience that this was never just a basic fetch quest for a glowing rock. Fundamentally, this was a story about genuine empathy and the raw power of human connection. Well, human, griffin, puppy, and seagull connection. Section 4, the power of friendship. Which brings us to the narrative climax. And watch how this builds into this rapid-fire sequence of events that resolves the whole thing. Step 1. Ethan and the crew offer genuine friendship to Mia, and her face just lights up. Step 2. Now united as a group, they return the sky crystal to the Flying Lighthouse together. Step 3. The very second that crystal touches the globe, boom, brilliant beams of light shoot entirely across the sky. The emotional resolution was literally the key required to unlock the physical climax of the story. And oh man, just look at the magical restoration that kicks off the moment the globe's power comes back online. The lighthouse is glowing brighter than it ever has. The floating islands are sparking with life. Those rainbow waterfalls we talked about, shimmering. The entire sky is just flooded with magical colors, and everyone is cheering. It's a massive visual explosion. The threat is totally vanquished, but not through some epic battle. It's fixed for the restorative power of bringing people together. The next morning, Ethan wakes up back in his normal room in Star Harbor. And of course, for a split second, he wonders, wait, was that whole crazy adventure just a dream? But then he looks over and sees a tiny glowing feather sitting on his windowsill. I absolutely love this. It's such a classic, deeply satisfying storytelling trope. Bringing back a physical token from the magical realm to the ordinary world is the ultimate proof. It tells Ethan and us as the readers that yes, the Flying Lighthouse, Captain Feather, and all that magic, it was real the whole time. So, bringing it all together, what's the ultimate thematic takeaway here? The moral of the story is pretty explicit. The greatest adventures become even more magical when they're shared with friends. The narrative does this beautiful job of anchoring the physical, glowing light of the lighthouse to the emotional warmth of companionship. The magic didn't just physically save the Sky Islands, it saved Mia from her loneliness and gave Ethan this incredible, shared experience he's never going to forget. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. Who are you going to share your next great adventure with? Because whether it's, exploring a wild new idea, traveling somewhere you've never been, or just diving into a really good story, remember that the experience is always, always amplified when you bring others along for the ride. Thank you so much for hanging out with me to break down this wonderful tale. Stay curious, stay connected, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.
For more interesting videos, subscribe our YouTube channel